All right, let's do a little buy or sell. And first up, Brice Turang, 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts here. And in his first 25 games, he looked great. He hit 350, 3 home runs, 8 steals, 845 OPS. And in his next 40 games, Brice Turang is hitting 199 with 1 homer and an OPS below 600. So, Chris, buy or sell? We got duped by Brice Turang 2 years in a row.
I sell this one, actually. I'm kind of surprised, but I do. Baseball Savant has the ability to look at rolling X WOBA over X number of plate appearances. So you can look at it over the last 250. His X WOBA over his past 250 plate appearances is 348. Over his last 100, it's 369. Over his last 50, it's 381. Based on the underlying numbers, Bryce Turang's actually been better. Now, there's been a drop in his exit velocities in that time, but still significantly better than last year. Strikeout rate's up a little bit, but not in a concerning way. I think he's fine. Not like a 290 hitter, but I think his current 261 batting average, that feels pretty good. Maybe a little higher, 270 even. Lot of stolen bases. I know that's been a little disappointing. You know, we were expecting more like last year's 50. He's on more of like a 35 steal pace. But I don't know. I think Brice Turang is certainly a must-roster player in any Roto league and probably pretty close to that in head-to-head points. So, yeah, I like it.
I hope you're right, because I traded for him in NL Labor last week, and, man, I need steals and batting average in the worst way. So, please be right, and let's get Brice Turang back on track. Wilson Contreras, 1 for 5 with his 8th home run. He added 3 RBI, and you know what? Not really having the season that we thought he would here for Wilson Contreras, but buy or sell, you should still be trying to buy Wilson Contreras.
Yeah, I think so. So he was hitless in the first 5 games of the season. This is another one of those. I think he struck out 8 times in the first 5 games, 9 times in the first 5 games. There was a lot of that going around. Since then, he's basically been like a 780 OPS hitter. I don't know if we should have expected that much more than that. Obviously, that would be a little bit disappointing if he was hitting 260 if he finished the season with 260, 20 homers. I don't know, 90 RBI, I think is what the pace is roughly. That'd be a little bit disappointing. That's still really good. Like, I think he's still the number 6 catcher in Roto. Or at least he was at the end of last week when I looked. I don't know. He's been a little bit disappointing, but yeah, I buy that you should be trying to buy him. Yeah.
I agree. The expected stats, for what it's worth, 282 XBA, 512 X slug. And I don't know if you've noticed this, Chris, and maybe it's just the players that I'm looking at and in the order that I'm looking at them. It feels like there are more hitters underperforming their expected stats this season than in previous years. I don't even know how I would look that up or find it. It sounds like maybe a research project that you would be able to figure out, but not many other people. But I don't know. It just feels that way.
We can just do it by setting some arbitrary parameters. So let's do under or overperforming their expected WOBA by 10 points either direction. There are 58 players overperforming their expected WOBA by at least 10 points. And there are a lot more. 125 underperforming by at least 10 points. Let's do the same thing for last year. Last year, there were 74 who overperformed their expected WOBA by at least 10 points. And there were 81 who underperformed by at least 10 points. So,
boom.
Yeah, it feels a little off balance. And that's one of those things that those expected stats are, they typically have to be adjusted for the offensive environment in any given year. And the offensive environment this year hasn't been that different, but I do think there's something to that where, the players who are underperforming, maybe aren't underperforming by quite as much as it seems. Yeah, there's something there.
So I don't really know what to make of it. I don't know if that just means that
just take them with a little bit of a more of a grain of salt. That if someone's underperforming by 15 points of expected WOBA, I think you probably look at that and say, well, maybe they're not. If they're underperforming by 40, I don't know if that's exactly what Wilson Contreras is, but that feels like it's probably in the ballpark.
Yeah. Specifically the catcher position. I mean, it's Yainer Diaz and Salvador Perez and Adley Rutschman. And they all
Wilson
still have
Contreras.
They all still have good expected numbers, but
Wilson Contreras is underperforming by 49 points. So that still feels like there's plenty of room for growth. And over his last 100 plate appearances, he has a 397 expected WOBA. That is an elite mark.
Yeah.
Even if he's not that, he's still clearly an above average hitter. And like I said, I think he's still been a top 6 catcher in Roto. So if this is the floor, that's pretty good.
All right, we got some signs of life from Luis Robert, 2 for 4 with his 6th home run, his first home run since May 2nd, over a month for Luis Robert there. Buy or sell that Luis Robert is more of a buy than a drop?
Oh, you want me to answer that?
That's why you get paid, Chris.
Oh, man. Gosh, imagine if that was actually what my paycheck depended on Luis Robert and being able to predict what he was going to do. That would be terrifying. I genuinely do not know. I am inclined to believe in him, but I don't know. We're what, 7 seasons into Luis Robert's career? 5. This is his 6th. He's had 2 good years. And one of them was 68 games. He's had 1 good year, 1 good full season. That season was incredible. And he's obviously incredibly talented. But I really don't have a strong read on this one. I'm inclined to buy just because I think the price cannot get any lower. And even if he's just like a 235 hitter with 20 plus homers and a bunch of steals, I think that's still a very useful player. But I cannot say I have any confidence in that. Even that relatively low bar. I was on board with the narrative that, oh, he was just bad last year, but now he's going to be motivated to get traded. He was, and I don't know, maybe that's still it. Maybe he's just in a funk because that situation is so bad, but I don't know. You can only give the benefit of the doubt for so long on these things.
Yeah.
And he really hasn't earned it.
I'm hoping that he gets traded and just kind of change of scenery gets him going.
I hope so too, but I don't know
how much of a market there is for Luis Robert right now. I think a reporter asked him earlier in the season, do you think you're going to get traded, or how do you feel about that? Whatever. And he said, why would anybody want to trade for me right now? It's he even acknowledged that he wasn't playing well. So it's definitely been a weird season for him.
And it's not like the underlying numbers are great.
No,
they're better, but they're still pretty bad.
Yeah, his expected stats are actually bad too for Luis Robert. At least one Oreo got the memo to show up this season, Chris. That is Jackson Holliday. Maybe not the one that everyone was expecting, but he went 2 for 4 with his 6th stolen base. He is batting .267. His 150 game pace is 20 homers and 15 steals, which would be a very fine season for Jackson Holliday. Buy or sell that he will be a top 2 Orioles hitter in fantasy rest of season?
Sell. I think he's closer to 5 than 2. I would still absolutely take Gunnar Henderson over him, no doubt about it. And I assume that's the one that I would still take Jordan Westberg. I know he's been disappointing, but he's barely played. Adley Rutschman's expected stats are still very, very good. I would take Adley Rutschman over Jackson Holliday the rest of the way. I think Cedric Mullins is a really interesting one. And even Colton Cowser, I'm not sure Jackson Holiday's better than Colton Cowser. Like what Jackson Holiday's doing right now isn't better than what Colton Cowser did last year, is it? Like more steals, but it's like the pace is, I think, 6 more steals than Cowser had, but 6 fewer homers. Batting average is similar. I would guess it's in Holiday's favor. I can't remember exactly. Cowser hit like 250 last year.
Yeah, I think it's kind of similar to last year.
Yeah, I expect the rest of those guys to be better than they have so far. That's not to say I expect Jackson Holliday to be worse, but I think the underlying skills are stronger for most of those guys.
You mentioned Cedric Mullins. I think he's a pretty good lock to get traded at some point. I mean, he's in the final year of his contract, and
that might not necessarily be a bad thing for his value because he might go somewhere where he plays every day.
True. Let's talk about Sandy Alcantara, who makes it 2 quality starts in a row, this time against the Pirates. 6 shutout innings, 6 strikeouts. He had 10 whiffs on 85 pitches. Both of these quality starts, amazing matchups. Pirates and Rockies, obviously. But, trending in the right direction here, Chris. Buy or sell that after 2 quality starts, you can start Sandy in a 2-start week next week against Phillies and Braves.
7 days ago, that's probably before he made these most 2 recent starts. So that feels okay. Sandy Alcantara didn't look like a guy you could trust against any lineups, let alone even the 2 worst lineups in baseball, which he's faced and done very well against the last 2 starts. So, look, I will grant that I am inclined to give Sandy Alcantara the benefit of the doubt because I believe he's good. And when I see evidence that he is good, I will choose to believe that that is more important and relevant than the copious evidence that he was bad for the first 2 months of the season. I might just be wrong. My bias there might be wrong. My belief in Sandy Alcantara's talent might just be wrong at this point. But the thing that I want to be clear, I rank Spencer Strider ahead of Sandy Alcantara. But I have had more faith in Sandy Alcantara turning things around than Spencer Strider because with Sandy, it's just been the command. Like the stuff is there. He's throwing almost as hard as he did before the injury. He's been like, half a mile per hour down, something like that. The stuff still looks good. It's just that the command just goes away for 3 innings at a time. And with Strider, it's the command has not been good and the stuff is not where it's been in the past. So while I think Strider's upside is higher, I think Sandy's floor is higher. And so I am not going to say you can start Sandy Alcantara against the Phillies and Braves next week, but low key, the Phillies lineup kind of stinks right now.
No Bryce Harper either.
No Bryce Harper. At least yesterday, I don't, Alec Boehm had a good game, so I think he's over 700 OPS. But yesterday, before today's game, there were only 3 hitters in their lineup with a 700 OPS. Alec Boehm has a 700 OPS now, so they have 4 hitters with a 700 OPS. Only one of them is above 800, and that's Kyle Schwarber. He's awesome. He's great. This is kind of a mediocre lineup right now. I expect Bryson Stott to be better. I expect JT Realmuto to be better. I even expect Max Kepler to be better than he has been, or for someone to take his spot and be better than a 669 OPS. But it's not a terrible matchup. The Braves also not a terrible matchup. I think in a points league, Sandy's okay. Sandy's an okay start next week.
I'm selling it. I still can't do it yet, man. And if I miss out on it next week, I don't have Sandy anywhere, but I would not start. Maybe in a points league, but anywhere else, I think I'd be still playing it cautious. And if he has 2 good starts, then I'll feel confident to start him the week after that. Let's wrap this up with MacKenzie Gore, who turned in another quality start, this one at the Mets. 6 innings, 2 runs, 6 strikeouts, 10 whiffs on 89 pitches. And he has gone 6+ innings in 11 of 14 starts, 2 walks or fewer in 10 of 14 starts. MacKenzie Gore is having an awesome season. Chris, buy or sell that Gore is a top 20 starting pitcher rest of season?
I already have it ranked that way.
Boom. Well, then I got to make moves because I have him at 24. So
did you know MacKenzie Gore leads the majors in strikeouts right now?
I did. Yep.
Him and Garrett Crochet have been going back and forth over their last like 4 starts over who's leading the league in strikeouts. But MacKenzie Gore was the first pitcher to get to 100 strikeouts. I think he's the first to 115 now or 110, something like that. And we've seen stretches of good pitching from MacKenzie Gore, and he's fallen apart. But I think the things that are different this time are, one, this is the lowest 14 start stretch for an ERA that he's ever had, 2.88. So already there. It's by far the best FIP stretch. He had a similar ERA stretch last season, but the FIP was like 4. It did not back it up at all because the control was bad. This is the best version of MacKenzie Gore we've seen by far. That new slider is just destroying lefties. That's been a problem for him. I would have a harder time making a case for MacKenzie Gore not being a top 12 starting pitcher at this point than not being top 24.